you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, welcome aboard the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Thanks a lot for joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you on this Friday, as always. Waiting for Vidal to come along. He'll be along in a few minutes. He's got some good things to do this morning, so told him he could be a little late. Appreciate everybody joining us. And man, oh man, what a phenomenal time we had last night. If you did not catch that show, you need to go back and watch it. Just go to YouTube and check that thing out. John Leskowski, Joe Hillman. Let me go through it. John Leskowski from the 1975 team and that supernova era of Bob Knight's. I had him on. Joe Hillman from the 1987 National Championship team was on with us. A.J. Guyton, of course, from later, and then Kirk Haston, kind of at the very end of Coach Bob Knight's coaching tenure, was on with us. All four, just kind of let them have kind of a roundtable of sorts and let them talk about Indiana basketball, the program, where it is, where it's been, where it is, where it's going. And it was interesting to hear the comments. I mean, you know, these guys care. It's care a lot. Joe Hillman's a great example. He's from California. He's not an Indiana kid. He's an Indiana guy. You can damn sure say he's an Indiana guy, though. Promise you that. And it was such a tremendous time. First of all, I cannot thank those guys enough. Joe Hillman and John Leskowski and Kirk Haston and AJ. They're always so gracious with us, but we really appreciate them. But man, it was a phenomenal conversation. They expressed their opinions, and they'd all be good with Brad Stevens. I can tell you that. But short of Brad Stevens, like the poll I put out on Twitter, it matched the exact poll I put on Twitter, which Brad Stevens was the overwhelming favorite, of course. But second place was John Beeline with an IU guy. And I think it's the IU guy portion that is bringing that on. But Dean Garrett's going to be on the show today. Don't want to bury the lead there from the 1987 National Championship team. Looking forward to having Dino on. Saw him last year when Coach Knight was back. We've talked to him, I think, since then. I think he did a post-game show with us, yeah. He's out in Arizona right now going to spring training, attending. He's not trying out for the Mets or anything. But looking forward to talking to him. Alec Lasley will be along. Of course, we'll check on what is going on in the world recruiting. Last night, the NCAA got started. It is underway. Let the games begin. Let's get ready to rumble. Texas Southern took care of who is that? I can't figure out those acronyms. But Drake, some great games too. Drake and Wichita State. Man, that was a battle that went down to the end. Drake pulls that one out 53-52. North Carolina State, they get past Davidson. Let's see. No, Norfolk won. Is that App State they won? SMU gets upset. Holy cow. That's Boise State, but they'll win. And then the grudge match, the title match last night between Michael Lewis and Dane Fife. The Fighting Lewises come out on top. The Bruins, UCLA, 86-80 in overtime. That game was that's the best game of the day, man. That thing was back and forth. You'd look up and UCLA would be up by 8, and you turn around and Michigan State was up by 6. And you turn around and UCLA would be up by 6. And you turn back and Michigan State was up by 8. It was a back and forth game, and it was tremendous. And I think that is how this tournament is going to be. It's going to be a blast. I know everybody's going to want to talk about the coaching stuff today. Not really a lot to talk about. I mean, I'm telling you, it's It's simply coming down to whether or not they can get Brad Stevens. I just don't think they can get him out of Boston, but I'm not saying it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible when you're talking about doubling someone's salary that makes $3.5 million or whatever it is he makes right now. It's not impossible. It's unlikely. It's not because, and someone said yesterday, it's not about the money. No, it's not always about the money, but sometimes money can be very persuasive when we're talking those kind of zeros. But I just don't see Brad Stevens leaving the NBA. It's not the Celtics that I talk or think that he can't leave. I don't think he's leaving the NBA. Why would he? Money, come home. But I still think it's going to be Chris Beard. I just do. I think that I think he's a really good fit. He's not an IU guy is the only thing. And I don't know if you can get him out of Texas. Because I prefer a proven winner than anything else. But I promise you, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know who Scott Dolson, who all he is reaching out to. Don't know that. Anything that you see is rumor and speculation and conjecture. The names that we know, of course, their wish list, of course, they're going to be on there. We'll see. And I think no one is out of the picture now. Had this been a coaching search from before, we could eliminate a lot of people. But that's not going to be the issue. Hey, make sure you hit us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline today. Get your questions in. If you have any recruiting questions, Alec Lassie will be joining us. Verdell's coming along soon. And the big man from the 87 national title team, Dean Garrett, is going to join us from Arizona spring training. Looking forward to that. But, man, the games last night were a blast. And then, of course, a whole new battery of games today as they start. Where's the schedule over here? There we go. They start off at Hinkle Fieldhouse at 12:15 today at lunch. They started at lunch. That's Florida and Virginia Tech went at it. It's a 7-10 game there. At 12:45 was Arkansas Colgate. Yeah, Arkansas is going to win that game. Florida, Virginia Tech. Whoo, that can go either way. I think I picked Florida on my bracket. Illinois plays today at 1:15 at the Farmers Coliseum. Number 1 seeded Illinois against Drexel. That's at 1:15. Like I said, Texas Tech and Chris Beard. They're playing today at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. I wonder if he was given a tour of Cook Hall while he was here. I wonder if why would it not be allowed? Hey, while you're here, would you like to see the facilities, Coach? Yeah, come on in. This office happens to be empty. This is an office that the coach might sit in if they had the job here, but I would be surprised if he didn't wander around from Assembly Hall because the tunnel connects you over to Cook there. And they probably are practicing over there with all the teams. Other games today, the Buckeyes at 3:00. They play up at Mackey. I've got the Buckeyes in the Final Four of one of my brackets. Baylor plays today. Man, we're getting some big-time games. Baylor at 3:30. Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech. There's an 8-9 game at Hinkle. Man, I think it's going to be a great game. That's a great venue. I got Loyola Chicago in that game. Tennessee versus Oregon State. I think that's at Bankers Life. I got Tennessee, Oklahoma State, Liberty. Man, I think I took Oklahoma State, but Liberty's an upset special. Not going to be shocked on that one. They're at the Farmers Coliseum. 7:00 tonight at Mackey, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Houston, Cleveland State. Purdue plays today at Lucas Oil against North Texas, Clemson, Rutgers, San Diego State, Syracuse, West Virginia. That's it. So we'll go over some of those later, I guess. Let's see. All right. What else do we want to talk about today? UCLA's Jamie Jaquez looks like and reminds Tim of what Trey Calloway can develop into, the way he moves during the whole game and plays defense. Man, Trey Galloway, I don't he's a very confusing player. At the beginning of the season, he seemed to be kind of, I don't want to say aggressive, but getting after it, getting into it. But at the end of the season, it was like same thing, just kind of running around. He runs towards the goal, gets shut off at the baseline, jumps out of bounds, and throws the pass in. It was like the same thing. I'm like, dude, what? Is this a routine? Got to get this kid shooting the ball. He's not a great shooter, but he's got to do something. You either have to get to the rim, shoot the ball, or distribute the ball to someone who is going to score. Trey Galloway's got to find a role here. That's going to be for the new coach. I don't think that would be a problem. He's a talented kid. Anthony Leal is another one. Why did he disappear at the end of the year? That's total BS. He'll get developed. And I'm sure I don't have to hope. I guarantee you, he's hoisting up 1,000 a day right now. Jays, he's getting up the jumpers. He's hoisting up 1,000 a day or more. That's what he's got to do. He's just got to bury. Just he's got to be out there sun up to sunset, just getting jumpers, shooting. He'll make a big difference next year. I think the coaching is going. I don't know how much instant impact there can be, but there's going to be impact. You will see improvement in virtually every one of these players, all of them, because I think their growth, their individuality, I think everything about them was stymied under Archie Miller in a completely scripted and totally screwed up deal. But we're past that, and I hate that the kids lost a year of development, but it's not that bad because it's their freshman year. They gained a lot of experience. They gained a lot of strength. They gained a lot of other things. So they'll be fine. And I truly believe a coach is going to quickly get more out of these guys. Christian Lander's another one. Here's what a coach is going to do. Exactly what Archie Miller could not do with Justin Smith. He's a great example. Justin Smith goes to Arkansas, and you remember Todd Lee would get so pissed when Justin Smith, and like the rest of us, when he would hoist up a three-pointer. It's like, what the hell are you doing? You shoot 20%. And he does. He's terrible. He should not be shooting them. Well, that's on Archie. That's Archie's job to tell him what to do, what not to do. Because guess what he did not do at Arkansas? He did not shoot three-pointers because he can't. He's a terrible, terrible shooter. He's a 60% free throw shooter, for God's sake. A 60% free throw shooter should never, under no circumstances, be allowed to shoot a three-pointer. But Eric Musselman handled that situation. He took Justin Smith and used him and got him into a role that worked for them. Their team is ranked. Their team is playing in the NCAA tournament. Imagine that. That's what I'm talking about. We got to take a break. Verdell's going to be joining us here anytime. Alec Lasley's going to join us next. Dean Garrett's on the show today. Plenty of good ones. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. Hey, we all want more, and no one gives you more for less than Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. What up?
What's up? How's it going?
Pretty good.
I haven't gotten a chance to listen to all of it, but how did the show go last night?
Fucking fantastic, man. You need to, because there's some great stuff in it. There's a clip. The first one is from AJ, and I looked up when he said it, and I didn't have a timestamp, so I'm like, fuck. I had no idea when it was in, but it's not that far in. I don't think it could be 20 minutes in. It may be like 12 or less, but I can't remember what it was, but I was like, I started writing it down. As a matter of fact, and if I pull up my notebook, I could probably, that's the only thing I wrote down. When he started talking, I was like, oh shit. But that's what I looked up. No timestamp. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Cool. Some of the I know some of the people on the message boards liked it, and then some of the other people were asking about it. So it's definitely people were happy you did it. I think it was good to kind of hear from some of the other players.
The players loved it. Every one of them were texting me. Well, they on the air even, but we texted back afterwards, and they loved it. But I did that because in doing it with Todd the other day, and I've been trying to tell Todd that's what I want to do, man. You guys, they don't give a fuck what I think. I don't give a crap what I think. Why should anybody else?
So true.
But yeah, I'm like, dude, that's what I want him to do it. So yeah, but we're gonna keep doing instead of after the game, after the season with Todd Leary. How about that?
Yeah,
last night would have been the first one, but he couldn't be on. That's the reason he couldn't be here.
Are you looking to get different guys each week or same group?
Oh yeah, I've told him. I'm like, dude, you should have somebody. It should be him. I mean, just kind like last night, kind of introduce it and then back out. Y'all go at it, man, and then kind of jump in, maybe whatever comments, whatever. But those are the conversations. They're just organic, man. But last night was so cool because you got John Leskowski to Joe Hillman to AJ to Kirk Haston. It cut across 3 decades. 3 decades. I mean, that was the beginning and the end of Bob Knight. Leskowski was a senior in high school when Knight got the job. So he was his second year, I think. And that's wild. That's awesome.
Your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. It is Friday. NCAA tournament's underway. Games are underway. The festivities are underway. It was St. Patrick's Day week. Man, it's been a hell of a week. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joins us now. Alec, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I cannot complain. I just noticed I got my Yogi shirt on, man.
Yep.
Never worn this. This is I've never worn this shirt. Can you see the back of it?
Interception University. I like it. It looks good.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta have one of those, man. But yeah, pretty cool. How any changes in recruiting? Any word on the street with the players? I know it's a wait and see attitude because I think they know there's something good coming. Because I'm very confident, and I haven't talked about that yet today. But I am. Each day comes, I get more and more confident in Scott Dolson. It's a different day in Indiana. I'm telling you, it is a different day. But you're closer to the on the recruiting side of things. What's the word on the street?
Yeah, no, just to kind of echo what you were saying, I think that's 100% the case, right? Because you've only seen one player kind of address their future with that being Al Durham. And so everyone else, at least on the team as it stands now, is definitely in kind of that wait and see mindset. And I think that's the way that you have to play. And I think Scott Dolson's done probably as good of a job in the last week and a half as you probably could in this kind of scenario. So, I mean, if you look at it from the inside out, it's definitely probably the best time to be part of this Indiana basketball program because there is something good coming in the next, few weeks that I think a lot of people, we're not only waiting for, but really hoping for. And there's a lot of hope with that Indiana program, and there's a lot of people that want to be part of it now. In terms of the recruiting, I mean, you look at Logan Duncombe and CJ Gunn, the two guys that are still committed to Indiana right now, and they're still both fully committed to Indiana. Obviously, both want to see what happens next. But for the time being, they're both Indiana basketball commits, and that's going to be the way they're going to move forward unless something major happens here. I guess in the negative sense here in the next few weeks.
And we can continue talking about this stupid coaching search until we're blue in the face, which we probably will talk about the stupid coaching search until we're blue in the face. But everybody knows who the wish list is, and it's everybody's wish list. It's Scott Dolson's wish list. It's the fans' wish list. It's anybody's wish list. Who doesn't want Brad Stevens? The players, because I promise you, if Brad Stevens is Indiana's coach, recruiting's not going to be a problem. As a matter of fact, it'll be the opposite. So I'm not concerned about the program getting back on track. I've never been, and I am a very skeptical person. Hey man, I call a spade a spade. If I think, I'll tell you. I have, each day comes along, I'm getting more and more confident with Scott Dolson. He is not going to screw it. He knows the importance of this. And last night's show that we did with those 4 players that cut across 3 generations of Indiana basketball, from the beginning of Bob Knight's career with John Leskowski to the end of it with Kirk Haston and Joe Hillman and A.J. Guyton in the middle, they all echoed the same thing. First of all, they care. I mean, you could tell they care. And as they should, but I was surprised. I put up a poll, Alec, on Twitter. Who will be the next coach? I gave the options of Chris Beard, Brad Stevens, John Beilein, and an IU guy, and Scott Drew. And the winner was Brad Stevens, of course. Well, I shouldn't say overwhelming. He beat John Beilein and an IU player, but it wasn't overwhelming. Now, Chris Beard was a distant third. But that was a similar situation last night when I was talking to all 4 of those guys. Other than Brad Stevens, their next choice was an IU type guy. And I asked him about a John Beilein connection with maybe a Calvert or something like that. They all thought that would be great. And Verdell, you can jump in anytime, man. But it was cool to see that they echoed those sentiments about that. Verdell, it was awesome. I did a show last night with 4 guys that it cut across 3 decades of Indiana basketball, and it was so cool to see them interact, from John Leskowski to Kirk Haston, that spanned almost 30 years. But the wild thing is their opinions were pretty all in unison. And so you got AJ, who's not even from Indiana, really, but he's an Indiana guy. Verdell, they become Indiana guys. We talked about that, Indiana guys, and just become Indiana guys. Joe Hillman is from California. He's as much an Indiana guy as you can get too. So it talked about so much of that. But Alec, where recruiting wise, I think Indiana's going to come out of this in better shape than they could have imagined.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the further along you go here without a head coach, I think the better for Indiana, because then you can really narrow down that list of maybe 3 or 4 guys down to exactly who I think everyone really wants, and that's Brad Stevens and Chris Beard, like you said. But moving forward, I mean, this is a program now that has a lot of positive buzz and a lot of positive feelings around it, which was not the case just 2 weeks ago, not the case even at the beginning of this past week. Hats off to Scott Dolson for really, I think, doing what needed to be done for the program in order to really take it to the next step. I know everyone, when Archie Miller took over 4 years ago, everyone was really hoping he was going to be that guy to take the Indiana program to that next step that Tom Crean wasn't able to do. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I think an extra year would have done probably a little bit more harm than good for Indiana moving forward. So the way that he's been able to not only get everyone on board with this decision, but make sure that he has kind of the full support from not only former players, which is key, which I think, and Verdell can talk about this a little bit too, that I think a lot of former players were really ready to kind of jump off of that IU train, especially over the last few weeks, just because it wasn't the same Indiana basketball that a lot of people grew up watching. It wasn't even the same Indiana basketball that a lot of people my age in their mid-20s we're used to watching in the past 10, 15 years, through the good and the bad, right? I mean, this is an Indiana team that still had a lot of pride throughout all of their losing seasons. And I think you look at it in the past few seasons, and there just was not that drive and that pride that I think a lot of people were really hoping for. And in Verdell, like I said, you can kind of talk about that too. It's just moving forward now. I think you see that pride back in that Indiana program and around all the former players, which is what's definitely needed moving forward for IU.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you definitely feel optimism and excitement again back around the program just off of that recent move with letting Coach Miller go. It's a cold world the way the business goes. I wish the best for Coach Miller, but it was needed. You could tell that the morale of the basketball program was going in a very bad place, in a bad direction. But now, like you said, look on Twitter, everyone's talking about it. Everyone, my wife's a doctor. She had a former IU professor, and when they found out that me and her were married, they're like, "Tell Verdell we're rebuilding again. We're back at it again, rebuilding." So. Just even that little, conversation right then and there just shows that there's excitement again, and that's what, we need the inspiration. We need some excitement that we can rally back around and move forward. Obviously, I would love to have Brad Stevens. That's, to me, the number one option. But whoever it is, they have to be someone that can take kind of, that momentum and continue to carry it forward, man. We're let's play hard, let's compete. Let's be that's to me when people ask what is IU culture, that's it. I don't think IU's ever had, all McDonald's All-Americans, but they've had guys who knew what it meant to be a Hoosier and showed it when they played on the floor by being scrappy, by fighting, by competing, by doing the little things, by sharing the ball. That's what the IU culture is about. And that's what we, when former IU guys say, we need to bring that culture, that's what we mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could tell the pride across the board, all those guys, it was the same. The one thing that I regretted, and I really tried hard, is I wanted to have a Crean guy last night. And not for any negative reason, because I wanted to, and that actually came up. And I think it was Joe Hillman who brought it up, talking about, because and I think we've talked about it, Verdell, it's almost a separate fraternity for the guys that played for Bob Knight, because it's such a section of college basketball, much less Indiana basketball, but it's a fraternity within a fraternity. But they were talking last night how they don't want that. They've seen that, and it's kind of a fracture. They don't want that. And I really, that's why I was like, damn, I tried, man. But part of the reason is, well, you weren't available. The few guys that Derek wasn't available. The other guys are freaking pros. You got guys that are playing in the damn league still. Cody and Vic and Jordan's in Germany, and they're still playing. So that's something to think about. That's a big reason why I couldn't get a Crean guy on. I mean, I could have gotten one if I really wanted to, but I mean, a guy like you, someone of stature, but that's why I think about that. I couldn't get them because half of them are in the damn league playing. That's why they weren't available. So that hasn't happened lately. Need to get back to that, having that type of player development. It wasn't because he was recruiting 5 stars. Victor wasn't a 5-star. OG's not a 5-star. Jawan wasn't a 5-star. So that's one of the things I think Indiana needs to get back to, obviously, and doing that with some of the Indiana kids. That will just this is like Jack and the Beanstalk. I'm telling you, all it's going to take is the right guy to pour a little bit of water, and this thing is going to explode. That's what it's a sleeping giant. But that's my take on that, Alec.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you look at not only the roster, but the guys who have been part of the program over the past 4 or 5 years, even going back to kind of the end of the Tom Crean era. And it's exactly what you said. It just seems like an entirely different kind of fraternity and it doesn't even seem like a fraternity. It just doesn't seem like what Indiana basketball was kind of built on. It doesn't seem like what Indiana basketball should be, right? And so I think that's what's so important moving forward, especially in these next couple of seasons for whatever coach.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for whatever coach comes in, whether that's Brad Stevens or whether that's Chris Beard, is to kind of bring that culture back to Indiana, because I think that's a big thing that was lost over the past 4 or 5 seasons. Is just that culture of Indiana basketball that a lot of people are really dying to kind of see again.
You want a nugget? You want me to drop a nugget on you? John Leskowski dropped this nugget, and I mean, I was like, that's a great one. Do you know who the first non-IU graduate to become head coach at Indiana basketball was? I'm going to ask if Verdell's back joining. I'm going to wait till Verdell gets in because this is a nugget, man. This is a nice little piece of info. Verdell, if you can hear me, I'm asking Alec, or you too, the first non-IU graduate to become the IU head basketball coach. Who do you think that was?
The first non-IU graduate to become.
I mean, since the beginning of Indiana basketball in the 1800s.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Bob Knight.
Really?
Bob Knight was the first non-IU graduate to become basketball coach at IU. That's why it's so ironic, because there's all the talk of the IU guy that Bob Knight created, basically. I mean, I'm not ignoring Branch McCracken and the 2 national champions. Indiana was a great program, but this was a separate, man. The Bob Knight era is something that just is Mount Rushmore type. So, but yeah, that's what's crazy. All this IU guy talk centers around stuff built on Bob Knight, and he was the first the guy to not be an IU guy to come here. I mean, the irony is freaking crazy, but yeah, Alec, what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we talked about at the beginning, it's all revolving around that coaching search, and I think the next kind of 4 to 5 days are going to be extremely key in terms of which direction Indiana is going to go in terms of either Brad Stevens or Chris Beard. And obviously, I think everyone knows that top choice for Indiana right now is Brad Stevens. But you go back to the timing of everything. The one thing I'll say is the NBA trade deadline is next Thursday. That would probably be one date that I would have in mind for Indiana fans if they're looking for anything to kind of grab a hold of for Brad Stevens, because after that, I just don't know if that's a realistic possibility to bring him on board, especially, with maybe a month and a half left in the regular season with a playoff team. Granted, the Celtics are obviously not what a lot of people were hoping fan-wise and people around the NBA kind of thought they'd be this season, but they're still a playoff team nonetheless. And I just kind of find it hard-pressed to get rid of a coach or to have a coach leave when you're in the midst of a playoff run. And I don't think Indiana can wait until, end of May, middle of June to make any sort of coaching decision. So that's why I think the next 4 to 5 days are going to be extremely key for this coaching search.
Yeah. I don't think I don't see Brad Stevens leaving the NBA. I don't see the Celtics letting him go, not letting him go, but I mean, they're not going to just let him walk away. They may not be able to match that offer if it's true, the numbers that I've been hearing, but I don't know that they have to match it. I just don't see him leaving the NBA. And the Celtics, Ainge doesn't want him to leave. Danny Ainge is happy with him. Verdell, I think people, it's great to get excited. But I tell you what Brad Stevens is, he's a great diversion for Scott Dolson is what I think he is. He's a great diversion for him to go out and do other stuff right now, and no one else is the wiser.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of options. Obviously, everyone has their own opinions. It would be hard for me to see Coach Stevens leave the Celtics, but he continues to not deny it. I mean, that's what keeps it intriguing. He doesn't flat out say, "Hey, I'm a Celtic." He likes to throw that little bait out there for us, and so that's what
there's been no absolute. Yeah, he's given no absolute.
Yeah, no absolutes at all, and so that's what makes it exciting. But I think, like Alex said, I think that as far as timing, if something that was to happen, it happened by that NBA deadline. Just because they'll try to go a different direction. But I do think that this kind of does give Mr. Dolson some time to try to narrow down his other options, just in case Brad doesn't work, because everyone's focus right now is on Coach Stevens, and so it's like I said, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Hoosier because you get to feel a difference being made and a different direction, being headed towards, and that's what we need right now.
What do you have coming up on the Hoosier.com, Alec?
Yeah, we'll have a couple more pieces here in the next, I guess, over the weekend here for the state tournament recruiting wise. Obviously, we saw CJ Gunn, who still is an Indiana commit at this point, so he's playing for semi-state on Saturday here in Indiana. So that's obviously a big game for him for Lawrence North, and obviously Indiana recruiting since he's the one guy for that 2022 class and beyond that's still committed. And then again, we'll continue to look at the coaching search and make sure that we're doing all of our due diligence to make sure we're bringing all the information to you guys.
Brother, I appreciate you. Have a great weekend and have fun watching the games.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the best time of the year, and I think everyone was extremely disappointed at this time last year that we weren't able to celebrate March Madness. So it's definitely a fun weekend that's about to happen. Yep.
The last game of the night last night. I'm trying to go home. I'm like, come on, man, I want to go home. We got overtime. Thanks a lot, Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com. Make sure, hey, they got what's a special now? Half price off.
Yeah, we're doing 50% off for your first annual year here for
Awesome.
Hoosier.com moving forward. Yep.
Get out there, the Hoosier.com. Alec Lasley, appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care. See ya.
Verdell and myself will be back with more. Dean Garrett's going to join us later. Verdell didn't know that. Hey, Dean's going to be on with us later. Nice. So that'll be fun, too. But we'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Ordinary destination.
Yeah, I wish I could have. I want a Crean guy on there last night, man. That would have been so awesome. No, Derek was the same. Derek was busy, but then that's what I'm thinking. Because I started looking at him, like going, shit, NBA. I'm like, son of a bitch, everybody's playing. That's why I can't get hold of anybody. Eric Gordon, even he's one of the Crean guy, but I'm like going, shit, he's playing.
Yeah. Everyone's in season right now.
When we get out of season, you're gonna have to get Cody on. Get those guys on. You have to.
Sure.
Those are guys I do not have access to. Yeah, but he's such a funny guy. I'd love to have. And Kirk Haston is the king of all. He's the funniest former Indiana basketball player I think that there is. I'm not kidding. And he does it in this all shucks manner. I swear to God, if he wanted, he could do it. I truly believe he could do anything he wanted to do. If he wanted to be a stand-up comedian, he could do it. He's a teacher. He's a coach. He's a politician. I think I've started to anger him a little bit because I've been calling him the future governor of Tennessee for a couple of years. And I put that up last night. He's like, oh, man, I got a meeting a little bit. That might cause a problem. I'm like, oh, what's he got? I'm telling you. I'm planting that seed. I guarantee you watch. I will guarantee you it may be 8 years from now. I don't know what the election cycle is. Yeah. I promise you, that dude has got a personality that wins half the side. Now he's got to win the political people that right. But I think he's smart enough to do that. So this dude, I'm not kidding. He could. I don't know, man. Politics is hard.
Yeah,
it's funny. What's going on with you, brother?
Man, we got our first tournament this weekend for our youth program.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Getting to have those. Oh.
I know. It's over in Indianapolis too, so we'll be over in Indiana, in old Hoosier land. So I'm excited for the guys to get after it. At the Pacers Athletic Center.
Their training center?
No, like the big facility over in Greensville. What's the name of it? The Pacers.
Number one Honda dealer, Andy Moore Honda. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, where more means more. More selection, more savings.
Yeah, the Pacers Athletic Center.
Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till the end of
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. The NCAA tournament has started. It is awesome. And, you know, as Indiana's looking for a coach, I'm telling you, if I were you, I think you should go out and buy yourself an Andy Moore car. Andy Moore Honda would be specific, would be great. But I think that, I know he has all kinds of dealers. But, yeah, I think that would be a very nice way to show your appreciation to Andy Moore just for being a great Hoosier. Riddell doesn't know what I'm talking. It's a little inside joke there. I'll tell you later, Riddell. But you've got your youth team's first tournament coming up this weekend, which we talked about in the break. That is just awesome just because it's going on. But the fact that it's going on in Indianapolis, I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? Every damn basketball player in the freaking world is almost in Indianapolis. And when they're done with that, the boys' high school state tournament has to complete. Do they not have enough basketball in Indianapolis and they got to bring people in from out? Are you kidding me? They're having an AAU tournament? I had no idea.
Yep. It's the Indy Invitational over at the Pacers Athletic Center in Westfield. So it'll be our first tournament. We had our tryouts on Sunday.
Is this AAU?
Practice. Yeah, 7th grade and 8th grade. Yep. So we had our first practice yesterday, and we'll see how it goes. We got a late start here in Illinois with our whole school basketball. They just really finished their abbreviated version 2 weeks ago. So we're just getting the guys together and kind of putting them out there and to see where we're at. A lot of our guys here think that you can just kind of reach your goals by just going and playing a bunch of games. So I'm hoping they really go out there and get smacked around a little bit, just so they can understand what it takes to really get to that level. That you got to put in that hard work, the extra work. That you got to, put in, be conditioned. Put in the extra time in your ball handling, all these things. So, here in Central Illinois, it's not a super hotbed for basketball. We have to compete with the Indianapolises, the Chicagos, the St. Louises, and people like that for these big time scholarships. So that's why I'm really encouraging my guys when we go to these places to just compete. Who knows what happens, but you got to be able to compete for you to understand and realize that you can belong with some of these programs and these teams. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, we have a good group of guys, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you do when you lace your shoes up and go compete. So it'll be our first tournament. I know it'll be some great basketball. There'll be some top Indiana teams there to compete against, and I'm excited to see where we're at.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I had no idea, but I cannot tell you how shocked I am that they're having this damn thing in Indianapolis. I cannot get over that. I really can't. First of all, where in the hell are you all playing that they have another gym for you all to play in?
Yeah, it's the Pacers Athletic Center. Like I said, it's
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So they have at least 10 courts in there. So, but I think it's between there and then the Fisher's Fieldhouse or something like that. So
it's just amazing.
It's Indiana though, right?
I know.
If it was anywhere else, you'd be like, how can they find all these gym spaces? But in Indiana, you got one every corner.
I'm not surprised because of the space, and if this was any other time, I wouldn't be surprised. But because it is this time, I'm shocked. I'm freaking shocked. But where else? Where else but Indy? Where else would you do it? But Indy, I guess. So it makes sense. But that's awesome because there's so many of the guys I know are involved. You're now. So how far do you guys travel? Obviously, you come to Indy. Will you go like to Vegas, to Atlanta?
So we're not
or just a
right
smaller,
now.
younger group.
Yeah, we're a younger group. We're 7th and 8th grade. So once they get into high school, then that's kind of when we start traveling a little bit more. This year we had tournaments in Iowa, obviously Chicago, St. Louis. The furthest I think we'll go is probably Louisville and Cincinnati. But yeah, we kind of try to stay local. I don't want to. I want them to. There's plenty of great basketball locally here. You go to Indiana, great basketball. Chicago, great basketball. Kentucky, great basketball. St. Louis, great basketball. So there's enough places around here that we can get our guys that exposure that they need and to help them grow. I'm a firm believer that you don't need to play a billion games. You just need to play 100 of the right ones. You know what I mean? So if you're being seen by the right people, you're playing at your peak, that can go a lot further than just playing a bunch of games all over the place. You know what I mean? There is such thing as called overexposure, I believe, at this age. Because at a certain point, once you become ranked and people like you, what's next? They want to figure out ways to critique your game and break it down. And that can hurt a kid if they're not ready. So, I have a great coach that's helping me. His name is Keith Peoples. His daughter is actually Anaya Peoples, who's an All-American with Notre Dame. And he has a 7th grade year old son. So he kind of brought his young lady up and did her whole thing. Now he's putting his time into the boys basketball side. So, like I said, we're excited, man. We really have a talented group of kids. I just think that they need that extra push that we're trying to give them.
Man, getting a start like that is incredible for anything. That's if you're it doesn't matter what you are, an artist, an athlete, a musician, getting a start where you're getting the proper instruction, the proper everything is critical. I don't care what you're doing in life. If you have a child that is doing, I don't care what they're doing. If it's ballet, don't start them right or don't start them.
Exactly.
If you start them wrong, you're sending them backwards.
Yeah, building bad habits, and it's harder to break those habits once they're put in.
But man, I can't imagine how lucky it is for those kids to play under someone like you, not just for your basketball accolades, which is great. It's all the other stuff we talk about too, because I don't think those kids get enough of that today. We saw last night. I don't know if you saw. Did you see the Michigan State UCLA game?
I did. I didn't get a chance.
Halftime, they're going off. I don't know who the player was. Izzo's he's old school, man. And everybody loves him though. He's one of them. But how tall is he? Like 5'6"?
Yeah, he's a little guy.
He's good. One of his big guys. They were jawing. They're going off the court into the tunnel like that. They're jawing back and forth, and up like a Michael Lewis, Bob Knight kind of a deal. And it kept going though. And then he walked past Izzo, and Izzo reached out to grab his jersey, and he's one of the big dudes. And finally he's trying to hold on to him. That dude's not slowing down. He's swiped his arm off. But they got to the end of that tunnel, and I don't think he said something because Tom Izzo moved up fast, and all of a sudden Tom Izzo is nose to chest on this dude looking up, and it's just great.
Kids need to be challenged like that these days, man. They do, and some
properly, but Tom Izzo was going to do it properly.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm talking about.
It's a way that you challenge a kid. I told my parents last night, I would never demean your child. I never belittle them. I'll never try to talk down on them, but I will challenge them. And that's what kids need. They need to be challenged these days, especially by male adults. I feel like we kind of built a soft society because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But then once they get in the real world, that's all that happens. People's feelings get hurt. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out a way and continue to build these young people's mindset up that, You have to work hard. You have to take responsibility when things aren't going your way. You know, it's easy to point the finger when something's not going your way. But sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, man, am I the reason why it is not going this way or that way? You know, and you know, if you do something wrong or do something bad, I'm going to hold you accountable. You know, I'm going to light into you if I feel that you're not maximizing your capabilities. But I'm also going to put my arm around you and show you some love when you need it, and I'm going to encourage you when you need it, and I'm going to praise you when you deserve it. And I think that's something that we all, as adults, got to kind of find that fine line. We either just want to just belittle a kid, or all we want to do is throw praises at them. And we got to have that balance to help them grow.
Yeah, Gabe Brown was the player. Tom Medford got that to us in the message. Thank you very much, Thomas. But he's a big boy, though. But Tom Izzo's just one of those guys you love because you know he loves his players. You know he cares for them, and everything is about care for them. It's a parent. I mean, it's just watching it. It's like watching a parent is all it is. And anybody because I remember it was like 2 seasons ago, he got into a tiff with one of his players. I forget who it was, and he's ripping them. And then people are getting all upset. I'm like, you soft people. This society has gotten so soft. Oh, my God, it's gotten so soft. And it's going to get down to finally, like everything else, until you get that bounce back. But they haven't gotten to their softest yet. But they're soft, people. You're soft. Stop being so soft. Man. But, whew.
It is, man. I mean, just, yeah, and you see kind of the, you know, the drop off over time, how rapidly it's been, you know, it's just, especially in sports, man, you just can't really even challenge a kid or anything like that without hurting a feeling or a parent getting upset. And it's just, you know, if I can't challenge you in sports, man, I don't know what you're really expecting things to happen for, you know. I mean, college, you're going to get challenged by your coaches. You're going to get challenged on the road. You're going to have fans yelling at you and things like that. And I'm just trying to tell my kids, man, like it takes a different kind of mindset to get to where you want to go. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of high school kids that are expecting to go play college basketball, and only a very select few get picked. You know, what is your mindset going to be like if you don't get picked to the school that you want to go? So it's easier said than done, but it definitely takes a village to raise a child, and we're just trying to do our little part.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, and learning lessons in athletics, I can tell you right now, I can look back and see the lessons that I learned and the ones that I didn't, and the ones that I wished I would have. And it's not just in athletics, but that was my path. Like it's a lot of people's path, but there are so many lessons to be learned there, man, and in so many different sports, because a different sport provides so many different lessons, different opportunities, whether it's a team, it's an individual, it's giving up of yourself to be a role player. There's so many things that equate straight to life. And another topic that came up last night that kind of plays into this is everybody wants to get to the NBA today. Now it's all they care about is getting to the NBA. And AJ said, I never once thought about the NBA the whole time I was at IU, you know, and people probably saying, oh, bull crap. No, but no, maybe at the end, maybe his senior year, but he said, I was going to get a degree. So I believe he was focused. He's planning on being here for 4 years.
Right.
So yeah, I believe him. It's great. And that's how you wish they were. More guys like you and AJ but I'm afraid that's not the way it is anymore.
It's not, man. It's a different kind of mindset. Everyone wants to be one and done. Everyone wants to go right to the league or to the G League now. The high school is just, you know, and people don't understand that only, you know, 99.5%. Think about that. 99.5% of high school players right now who are graduating will never make a penny, not millions of dollars, a penny off of playing. That's whether it's overseas or the NBA. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that all of our kids' mindsets now are focused on making the NBA, and that's it. It's do or die. You know, it's either NBA or bust. And what happens is when they don't make the NBA, mindsets and their way of thinking is just pretty much shattered. One of the reasons why I quit playing early is I had a teammate who was 40 years old, had kids, body was hurting. He's coming to practice. You could tell he doesn't really want to be there anymore. And I asked him, man, big bro, why are you still playing? I could tell you don't want to be here. Your body hurts. Why are you still doing it? And he told me, I don't know what's next. And that scared the hell out of me. The fact that, you spend your whole life pursuing one thing and it doesn't work out the way you thought it does, it can really ruin somebody. And I wish that our young people, especially, in our community, they understood that there's different options available, that you don't have to be this NBA or bust. You can go to college, get you a degree, and change your future of your life forever. It doesn't have to be an MBA or failure type of mentality. It could be college. It could be, I got out of my neighborhood. I left my community to see more. I got to travel, experience different things. Those little invaluable experiences can change a person's outcome in their future. But if you always just think about NBA, and it doesn't work out, it's going to be heartbreaking for you.
Absolutely. Hey, we got to take a break. Coming up next, the great Dean Garrett's going to join us, man. Part of the 1987 National Championship team. Got a chance to talk to him last year when Coach Knight came back, so that was awesome. But we've had him on the show since, and he's out in spring practice or spring training in Arizona, taking it in. But we'll be back with Dino after this. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Any More Honda Bloomington.
Hey, we all want more, and no one gives you more for less than Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Man, there's
someone has cut my tree down.
What?
So I live on this main street, and I guess one of my trees was dying, so the city's out there cutting it down for me.
Oh, well, that's nice. I'm just reading some people are posting stuff, but I guess I can all do that, but they're posting stuff about Brad Stevens.
Really?
Yeah, I have a source, blah blah blah, but I think that there's legs to Brad Stevens.
I do too, man. I really do.
Because he just hasn't freaking denied it. Because the other day on the radio show, they said, "So are you quitting Boston to be Indiana's coach?" No, I'm not quitting. Today he wasn't lying. No, I'm not quitting. Well, he wasn't. Well, stuff changes.
Yeah.
I didn't have a $7 million offer when you asked me that question. I now have a $7 million offer.
Wow.
I mean, I've talked to somebody yesterday, I think it was yesterday, who before the rumors started coming out about the $7 million a year, that told me that was the offer.
Mm-hmm.
And what people on Twitter kept saying, well, why would he come here? I said, well, $7 million is the start.
Do you hear me?
Because when you double your salary and you're making $3.5 million, that's a conversation you have. Hey, Dean. Not much, buddy. Did you get the link? Okay. All right, let me get that sent to you. He should have sent that to you, but let me send it out. Sorry about that. Hey, did you send the link to Dean Garrett?
Yeah, I did. It showed us sent in my email.
All right, try resending that.
Let me come back from the break real quick. We got 15 seconds.
All right.
And giraffes, lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Solersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
It just takes some time. Little girl in a little outdoor ride. Elvis, it'll be just fine. Elvis.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you, along with Verdell Jones, as always. Brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Waiting to get Dean Garrett on here with us. Of course, central figure in the 1987 national champion. Got to talk to Joe Hillman last night. That was cool. That was my first time twice this week. I've spoken to guys I've never gotten the opportunity to speak with that I'm surprised. Steve Green was one of them, Verdell. Did you meet Steve?
I met Steve a few times, yeah.
Dude is, first of all, he's freaking funny. He's dang, he's got some stories, man. He played high school down by where I'm from, like 20 minutes away in my area. But yeah, that was the first time. But the stories were incredible. But he is. What's cool about Steve Green? He's what I call he's a conduit. He's a conduit all the way from today back way before Bob Knight. He was talking stories about Branch McCracken, and I'm like, what? I mean, Branch McCracken won the other 2 national championships for Indiana, but was a coach, I think, up until the 60s, maybe, I think was the last time. But that big conduit there, it's just crazy. And there's stuff that people don't know. I mean, like the Bob Knight thing about him being the first non-IU graduate to be the coach. That's crazy. Do you know who turned down the IU job before Bob Knight? You would not know this. Hell, I didn't know it. So Bob Slick Leonard.
Really?
They offered the job to Bob Slick Leonard.
He said no.
And he turned it down. And I got to go back and look, and became or was the coach of the Pacers. He either then became the coach of the Pacers instead or was. I've got to go back.
Wow, that's crazy.
You want to have some fun? Research that dude.
Okay, I will.
Bob Slick Leonard is he's the greatest character in the history of Indiana basketball. He may be the greatest. He is, to me, he's the most successful Indiana Hoosier ever. Basketball Hoosier ever.
Wow.
Successful.
Wow.
I'd have to go back and look if they won a state title in high school, but he was crazy good. Came from a very, very, very poor background. And Terre Haute, very similar to Larry Bird, and they're very tight, these guys, because they're very similar. But he comes to Indiana, wins a national championship in Indiana, goes to the Pacers, ends up, I think, coached 3 championships for the Pacers on top of that. Broadcast. They're one of my favorite pictures of all, and I've said this a lot of times, though. There's a picture of him at halftime with George McGinnis. They're talking. He's got a cigarette in his hand, and he's got a bottle of beer in his hand. They're talking at halftime, man, and I'm like going, it is one of the greatest of all time. I love it. But yeah, Trevor, get there. Dino's with us now. Hey, D, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Good. Verdell's with us. Have you guys met?
We have not.
I have not.
Obviously, it's been 2 years, but we've never met.
I love this.
Great to meet you, sir.
You too, my man. Good to meet you.
Verdell, were you not able to come back for Bob Knight's return last year?
I didn't get a chance to. No,
that's what I forgot. Right. Well, you didn't play under him. I forgot that they didn't invite people that weren't playing that, did they? Or did they?
No, I actually got it. I had an invite, but I had an emergency last second that kind of stopped us from coming. But that was something I regretted not being able to make it to.
It was a fun day. I saw Big Dino out there, man. He is coming back, and they have all the new things are out in front of Assembly Hall. The great representations of the national champions, and I was lucky enough to get a picture with him. But are you out of spring training, just taking it in out in Arizona?
I'm back home now, man. I'm just recovering from spring training. I'm back home.
When you say recovering, what the hell does that mean? What do you mean recovering?
Oh,
you
man.
Do a lot of drinking, or are you out there on the feet?
I'm 54 now, so I guess I could say it. I went there with 3 other buddies, and we drank beer, sat in the stands, and enjoyed it.
That's the American. That's American spring.
And that's exactly what I'm suffering from.
Who did you get to see play?
I'm a Dodger fan. I still got the Mookie shirt on right now. So we went and saw Dodgers, Brewers, and Dodgers, White Sox on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Nice.
That's amazing.
That sounds fun.
I was down at the Boston's facility once in Florida. They have an exact replica of Fenway Park with the jacked up outfield and everything. It's funny, but yeah, what a great time to be going out and taking in spring training. Yeah, we're not quite that warm here, Dean. It's still in the 50s, 40s, man.
Had the shorts on and everything. It's nice.
Ooh, that sounds lovely.
got a few Hoosiers out there. Michael Lewis out there on the West Coast. Of course, he's in Indianapolis this weekend. They won last night, and they'll be moving on in the tournament. Pat Knight out there, and now you live in Vegas too, right?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas. Yeah, I live in Vegas. So yeah, I haven't seen Pat since we came back from Bloomington. We were on the same plane coming back, but we don't live that far from each other.
That's funny. It's just great stuff, but I'm awesome. It's awesome for me that you guys haven't met. I mean, I wish you had, but it's great that that's happening today. Last night, Dean, I did a show last night. I was telling Verdell, talking about the situation with Indiana, just where it is. But we had John Leskowski, Joe Hillman, your former teammate, AJ Guyton, and Kirk Haston. And it covered basically the entire Bob Knight tenure, which is cool. But I was just amazed at how all their conversations were pretty much just like-minded. It was all like-minded. It didn't matter. So it really didn't. There wasn't much of an age shift in opinion. Maybe a little bit with John, because John's the early 70s guy. But I understand that because every day I'm saying I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. Being a get off my lawn guy, but it was great to see that. And one of the things that I told Verdell about is playing in that era is almost its own fraternity. Playing for Bob Knight, it's a fraternity inside the Indiana basketball fraternity. But those guys talked about not wanting. They don't want it to be that way. They want it to be a one big happy family. Hasn't been that way yet. Last year was a great start to that, and. We talk about the AJ Guyton comes on a lot, and he talks about that as well. He really is trying to do that, but like the TBT.
Say that again.
I say it's like the TBT, getting a team in the TBT or things like that. But how important is it to you to because you're on a national championship team and keeping that stuff together?
Well, you know what? Anybody who puts that Indiana in front of their jersey, I look at it as being all family. I mean, sure. I mean, the school has been going through some turmoil for the last 20-some years. Could that man find a coach that can stay long enough, as long as Coach Knight has? And, I mean, that's some tough shoes to follow behind. But if you put that Indiana in front of your jersey and you play there, to me, you're all family. It's all the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely think that's kind of when you talk to players, that's kind of the mindset that you kind of feel across the board. I think that I don't want to blast the fans in the media, but it's usually the media or the fans saying all that, Knight's guys or Crean's guys or, Davis's guys or Sampson's guys, but every time I talk with another alumni, it's always, man, this is a big IU fraternity that we're kind of all together with. But I do think, moving forward, whoever the coach is, needs to have to kind of be able to tie everyone together. It'd be good just to have everyone come together and support each other and support them now too.
That's huge, and that's very important. That it's got to be somebody who's going to bring everybody together, And trust me, I've been an Indiana fan since the day I stepped on campus, and even more so when I left. And I look at all these other universities. You look at North Carolina's, you look at the Dukes. They keep it in family, and they keep bringing those guys back. And I don't know why we're not doing the same.
Well, that's going to change. Scott Dolson. Do you know Scott?
Of course I do, Scott.
Oh, that's right. He was a manager. He was a manager on the team. I forgot. That's right.
He's from Michigan City. That's where my daughter's mother's from. So Scott knew her. So yeah, definitely know Scott very well.
With Scott being the AD now, it's a new day in Bloomington. It really is. And I people for the last year, half the audience probably think I'm the most negative SOB in the world because I've ripped Archie's ass for a year because he sucked, and I said he sucked, and it was just the truth. But that's gone, and if there's nothing to complain about, I'm not going to be complaining. It's great, and I truly believe Scott Dolson is the guy at the right time to do the right thing, and he's going to do everything that you guys are talking about. I believe.
I definitely. Well, I mean, we're talking about what we're talking about. Then I guess everybody would know where I'm shooting at and where I would like this to go. I mean, I'm not going to be quiet about it. I would love to see Keith Smart sitting there in Bloomington.
Well, you know what? That's a name that, and I don't know why, has not come up as much because I know he's not coaching now. He's not coaching now, I don't think, is he? But he's got several successful years of NBA coaching. I don't know. I tried to look him up to see what he's doing right now, and he's in Hawaii watching his kids because he texted me back. But yeah, just kind of out of sight, out of mind, maybe because he's not coaching.
I don't know. I mean, he's not coaching right now, but you know what? There's two names I can bring up, and that should open up the door for Keith. And those two names are one, Patrick Ewing, and the other one is Juwan Howard. Look what both of those guys have just done for their university. They love that place. Keith is a Bloomington guy. His wife is from Bloomington. Keith is in Bloomington every summer. He loves the culture. He knows the culture. He loves the school. Just like Patrick Ewing, just like Juwan Howard. Those guys love that place, and look what they're doing for that university. That's what we're trying to be. We want to be the number one seed in the NCAA tournament. We want to win the Big Ten tournament. Those guys just done that. And Keith Smart has had, if not more, coaching experience as being a head coach and assistant coach than both of Juwan and Patrick. He has more. He was on the bench with Juwan in Miami. And Keith has been a head coach. I mean, you look at the Fort Wayne team, you look at the Golden State Warriors, you look at Sacramento, Cleveland Cavaliers, he has been a head coach. So I don't know why his name is not being mentioned more.
The IU guys, names we've heard, of course, Dane Fife, which I've said he's not leaving Michigan State. Michael Lewis is not. He's not any head coaching experience. Right. There's been talk of John Beilein coming in as a tutor of sorts to say someone like Calbert Cheney or someone like that. That doesn't have the head coaching experience yet, but he's coaching for the Pacers as an assistant and would be a transition, which that's an absolute possibility. Last night in the show we did, the guys, Brad Stevens is the overwhelming favorite by anybody. Even the players last night, of those guys, he's their pick. And okay, he's a great coach. So you cannot pass that up. But they were the same. If it's not him, they want this. The second choice is this. They were unequivocal about it.
Well, good. I didn't know where everybody else's choice was. I started reading some stuff yesterday, and I saw a long list of other guys. I saw the John Beilein and the other guys that they were mentioning, but I didn't see Keith's name. So I'll tell you, I even called Keith yesterday because I told him I'm doing this today, and I wanted to make sure I'm able to say what I wanted to say without him being upset with it.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to be like, all right, I'm going to say this. Is that all right with you? He said, that's quite fine with me. Go ahead and say what you want to say.
I think. Yeah, I'm over a break, but we're going to come back. We're going to talk about this more. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back. And I'll tell you why I think that Keith has not gotten a call. Well, we'll be right back with the great Dean Garrett and Verdell Jones here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda.
No one gives you more for less than Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. And right now, Andy Moore Honda is having.
Dean, I think they're going to get Brad Stevens.
I mean, if you get Brad Stevens, and you know what, that's a no-brainer. If you don't get Brad Stevens, you better bring in somebody that the fans are going to love. And every time we go back to Bloomington, I don't see nobody getting a bigger ovation than Keith Smart every time we go back.
Man, oh, it's so funny, too, because in our Yogis where we were doing the show, the Yogis. Hell, I'm wearing a shirt today. They have a basketball. Did you sign the wall?
Yeah, I signed it when I was there.
When Keith was in there, we had him sign it because we were talking about, everybody wants to talk about the shot today is the what shot. It was like, no, this is the shot. And I think that's what he signed. Keith Smart, the shot or something. It was funny. He's such a good dude, man. He is just a good dude.
Well, I'm glad to hear that everybody else was thinking the same thing.
Oh, it was. I did a Twitter poll, Dean. I did a Twitter poll the other day, and I said, "Who do you think will be Indiana's next coach?" And I gave the options: Chris Beard, Brad Stevens, John Beeline with an IU guy, and Scott Drew. And Brad Stevens won, but it didn't beat John Beeline and an IU guy by much. That was second on that Twitter poll.
I'm not jumping up and down about no John Beeline anyway.
No, I'm just saying it was the IU guy thing with another coach. I could have put other coach or whatever with an IU guy like in training or in waiting kind of a thing. That was their pick too. It was their pick too. So it's universal that the second choice for everybody is that. But Chris Beard, ironically, is coaching in Assembly Hall today.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you say that was his first time ever being in there, but it felt like he's been there before, all that. But, yeah.
Well, then Tim Brandel don't know what the hell he's talking about.
And, before you go live again, I just saw something about P.J. Ossenberger get another job.
How's he getting a job?
I don't know, but he left UNLV and went right to Iowa State.
Oh, well, what's his name? Richard Pitino was out of work for 12 hours.
True. And I saw he put in that he thought Brad Stevens should be getting the job. I saw something that he said.
Rick Pitino, Rick Pitino was on Dan Dockage.
Lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick West Bay.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda Bloomington on this Friday. It is a fun day. The NCAA tournament is here. Let the games begin. We got games going on all day through the night. Did you guys see any games last night?
I saw a little bit. You know what's so funny is Todd Mitchell, who went to Purdue, happened to call me yesterday and was talking about, can you even recognize the place because the floor was so much different. And I was like, I didn't even know they were playing in Bloomington until I saw it written on the side. You couldn't really tell.
No, yeah, because they've got it really tight, and they used a completely different floor. They didn't just put down a thing in the middle. They took the damn floor up, which is crazy. But I think they sell these floors or keep them. I don't know what they do with them. But, yeah, it's wild. But how cool would it be to be able to play in, say, Hinkle? That would be amazing. And also, Dean, I've talked about this before. The other facility is the the Farmers Coliseum. It's up in the fairgrounds. It's probably one of the most iconic venues of these venues, and the story just not getting out. It hosted the 1957 NBA Finals. The Beatles have played there, just all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But it's a great facility. But all these facilities are so cool. And but it was ironic that Dane Fife and Michael Lewis had to play in Mackey last night, though.
Right. I bet they would have loved to be them back at home. That's for sure.
I'm sure that Dane wasn't loving it at all. But Michael will love it. He gets to play one more time there before he moves on. But, yeah, it's so cool to see those guys up there and seeing all the IU players. And it is amazing. With that said, the Bob Knight coaching tree, well, part of that, Dean and Verdell, is there was a no Bob Knight guy allowed for a while by the administration. It was an edict. No Bob Knight guys. I guess they just said no more of this bigger than the university kind of thing. But there was an edict that it's not going to be an IU guy. And Scott Dolson, it's not about being an IU guy. It's about being Indiana. And I think people have lost sight of that. It's not about Bob Knight. It's about Indiana. And because Indiana's basketball culture goes way the hell back before Bob Knight. But you guys are all part of building something so big and strong. And I just put this up. Someone said, what about Tim Brando saying that Indiana isn't a blue blood program? Well, that's because he's full of crap. They are a blue blood program that is dormant. I will tell you that. But let me tell you, I guarantee you, I have not been so confident about something. It's going to be a little bit of water. And not only that, guys, 3 years from now, I think Indiana athletics will be at a zenith like it has never seen before. Dean, look at the football program, the men's soccer, women's soccer ranked, women's basketball. And if men's basketball comes around, it's crazy. It's nuts.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and we're not used to this. We're not used to basketball not being the top story.
And football being the top.
Yeah. And, I mean, football, what Tom Allen has done over there with the Hoosiers, man, is just absolutely fantastic. It's so fun to wake up on a Saturday and look forward to watching the Indiana football game. I jump up every Saturday and can't wait to see what they're going to do and text my friends who went to that other university and finally get some bragging rights in. It's great.
Oh, it's going to be so fun this year. I am looking so forward to that. We got to get you into a football game, man. Come back for a football game because it is going to be, I'm telling you, it is going to be a blast this year. The schedule, they open at Iowa, but they've got a Cincinnati at home, which is good. You've got Ohio State. I think that both those teams could be undefeated when they meet 7 weeks into the schedule. That would be crazy.
Well, it's funny because I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'd rather come back for a football game right now than a basketball game.
And it is.
Let's plan one. Because I'd rather come back for that and have a good time. If I go to a basketball game, I don't want to see them getting beat. I don't want to see nothing crazy because it's just not going to ruin my day.
Scott Dawson is going to change that for you. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? I'm going to give Scott his privacy. I know he's going through a hard time right now, and he's trying to figure this out. But let's all see what Scott does.
I got complete confidence in him. Verdell, how much time did you get to spend around Scott? Because he was working in different capacities at different times. I don't know what he was doing when you were here.
So he was like assistant AD when I was here. When I was at IU, and he used to always be around the program. Travel with us on some of the trips, comes to some of the games, and I didn't know him, a lot outside of those situations, but he was always, very open-hearted and kind to me, and it definitely, you could definitely tell that IU mattered to him. You know what I mean? The culture mattered to him. Seeing us do well mattered to him, and you could just tell that kind of that Hoosier blood ran through his veins. So I'm hoping that he does make the right decision. That's a tough decision to make. It was a tough decision to let him go. And now it's going to be even a tougher decision to find the right guy to kind of lead us moving forward. Because there's a lot of great options out there. I'm on board with the Keith Smart idea. I think that's a viable option. I don't understand why it doesn't get more traction. we're talking about building a chemistry and building something that's going to kind of tie everything together. You know, that's someone that can be exciting to new recruits because everyone wants to go to the NBA. So that's the NBA connection. And he's an all-time IU great. I mean, those pieces just kind of mesh together, you know. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm just glad that I don't have to make that decision. You know, that's a lot of pressure right there. I'm glad it's not on me.
It's a hell of a sales job, but there is nobody I think that could do it for Indiana like Scott. And I think that is exactly what he's doing. Rick Pitino was on, I think it was Dan Dockage he was on. He said, hey, if I'm on a plane to Boston and I do not leave until he is the head coach. And he's serious. That's you know, you can forget about Rick Pitino's other crap. It's kind of like, you know, Bob Knight stuff. It's there. From a coaching, these guys were both geniuses, and I mean freaking geniuses at whatever level you want to talk about being a genius. They're geniuses at their expertise level, and it's crazy. And that's what you do. You go and you don't leave until he is the guy. I think he's going to do that. That's the only reason but now, what about assistant coaches now? I think that Brad Stevens is also smart enough that is where we may see that, whether it's Michael Lewis or who's an assistant out there. Calbert's not going to, I don't think, go from the Pacers to Indiana as an assistant, I don't think, but Michael Lewis is out there. Dane's not going to leave. I'm trying to think who are the other some IU guys that may come in as an assistant.
As an assistant, I don't know. I mean, but you got a lot of guys out there. You got Mike Woodson out there. You got Randy Whitman out there. I don't know if they would want to come back to be an assistant at IU with both of them already having NBA ties. That I'm not sure if that's what they would like to do.
I got to cut it off the radio hour, and we can go over after that, but I don't want to cut that break. So let me cut this off. For those of you listening on the radio side, we thank you so much. It's been an incredible week. We'll go out and have fun watching the games today and tonight. Go to our YouTube channel to see yesterday's show if you didn't. It's incredible. But thanks a lot to Dean Garrett and to Verdell, of course. You guys go out and have a great day. Wear your mask. Do something nice for somebody. Until tomorrow or until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio. All right, welcome back to the overtime. We're off the radio now, so you can say damn or hell or whatever. It doesn't even matter anymore. I had Marco Killingsworth on one time, man, and my mother had passed away, so I was at my parents' home down in Charlotte because it was down at a funeral and still doing the show in the morning, and Marco comes on, man. He's like, hey, man, what's going on? I'm going to be myself. I want to say what I think. I said, that's what I like. Say whatever you want. And we're going along, and boy, he dropped the F-bomb. I'm like, oh, hold on there, Marco. I said, we can't go that far, boy. Oh, man. Do you guys know Marco Killingsworth?
I've been on.
Man, he's a unique one, man. There have been such unique characters. That's another thing. Who are your time, Dean, who's the most unique character that you experienced in your time in Indiana, besides Bob Knight?
Man, shoot, that was 30, 40 years ago. Most unique player.
Yes,
man, Jay Edwards.
Oh, you played with him?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Jay was a freshman when I was a senior.
Oh, man.
So Jay, by far, man. I mean, and just the uniqueness in is nothing fazed him. Just didn't give a damn.
Dude, I have not gotten – he's one that I have – or have I? I can't remember. Talked to so many.
You're trying to get Jay. You better work on it now, and you might get him by November.
Dude, AJ, I think that AJ had him on his Field of 68 podcast. Yeah. And I think he said the same thing. And it's like, I listened to it. But listen to him now. You can tell he's a character. But you could also tell he was exactly what you just said. It didn't matter. It did not. Nothing mattered. I mean, and he was because of that dude was clutch and silk.
Ice water in his veins, man. Jay didn't. The moment never bothered Jay. Didn't make a difference.
And I tell you, if things had gone right for him, that dude could have been a star. He could have played in the league. It just everything has to go right. Just like winning a national championship, you got to have luck. Everything's got to go right. When you won your national championship, what's the luck that allowed you all to win it? There had to be something.
Let's start with every game just about. I mean, we beat Fairfield pretty easily. Auburn was giving us a hard time in the beginning of it, but we ended up taking the lead from them. LSU, LSU, Darryl shoots an air ball and Rick tips it in. We were down by 10 with 4 minutes left to go. I still watch that sometimes like, I don't know how the hell we end up winning this game. UNLV, they were ranked number 1 in the nation. We just came out pretty much not phasing them. And then you got Syracuse and, Keith hitting the shot. And, we were down in that game also. So Wisconsin, we went triple overtime with. And Wisconsin wasn't very good in these years. I think might have won like 1 or 2 games in the Big Ten, and we went triple overtime with them. And we had a lot of tough games that we barely squeaked by.
I'll tell you something funny, Verdell and Dean. Last night, Joe Hillman, they were talking about the game and the teams and how things get better. And he said people have asked, like because he was talking about specifically like when Christian hit the shot against Kentucky, that team. He said that he's been asked about that team compared about their 87 team. And Joe said they'd kick our ass. He said they were so much more athletic and better. He said they kicked the crap out of us. He said that's just how it was. It's better. But you may have a different opinion on that, Dean. But it was just funny to hear that. But when you hear those players acknowledge that the game continues to grow, and it's not that they weren't good. It's just it changes and grows, and it's nuts.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I'm going to be one of those get off my lawn type of guys right now.
Yes.
Yes. No, they would not have beaten us.
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think we might have been a little bit mentally smarter and a little bit tougher than these guys are today.
Because I got news for you. My man,
I'll tip my hat to that. I'll agree with
bounce his ass out of the box.
Somebody's got to come down low. Steve shot too well. We didn't care. We were pretty smart. We didn't care who got the accolades. We just was like, whoever's in that mode right now, we're gonna keep him going.
And Verdell, I hate to throw this one on you, but they were coached by Bob Knight. You were coached by Crean. I'm gonna have to give that one to them. So
I mean, hey. You already beat us with the championship, that right there kind of already separates you, So, man, those teams are all-time greats for a reason, and we're not a championship winner, so you can never put us in the same category.
Growing up in Illinois, do you have memories of that '87 team because it was maybe far enough in front of your playing time that it didn't really register for you?
So I'm gonna tell my age. I was born in '89, so I didn't I wasn't quite around to watch the '87 team, unfortunately, man. But like I said, growing up in Illinois, I grew up a Fighting Illini fan a lot of my time. It wasn't until kind of later that I became a Hoosier fan. So it's moments like this is fun and important for me because I'm going to continue to learn the history and the tradition of IU basketball. So. I'm a convert to the Hoosier way, so it takes me time to get used to everything.
Oh, I like to see people you talking to Dean. I mean, that is what's and actually the people love that. Like last night, they were just loving these guys talking that weren't on the same teams, that weren't in the same eras. But it's just awesome. But I love seeing guys that I haven't even met. This is cool.
No, I watched Verdell play for sure. And, I even went out to the Big Ten I went out to the Big Ten tournament. I think you guys played in Chicago, and I was out there. I came out there because I was like, man, this might be a team that has a chance to do something. So yeah, we went out there, man. And I was out there supporting and hoping to see you guys pull that out. So
Yeah,
no, I
man,
definitely was a big fan and definitely watched you guys play every night. It's so easy to watch the games now because you got the Big Ten Network or ESPN or something like that. So I was watching all those games all the time, man. It was a team that was playing hard and it was fun to watch. And you guys had Assembly Hall rocking like we used to have them rocking back in the day. You guys had Assembly Hall rocking, man. So it was fun to see that.
Yeah, that's something
I appreciate that.
Getting it back to Assembly Hall was a place that opponents just did not want to come into, and that's not been the case. That's something that I'm looking forward to. I remember a couple of years ago when it was still kind of going. That Duke was in here and interviewing. What's the guy that tripped everybody?
Grayson
Allen.
Grayson Allen, yeah.
Yes. He after the game, he said, well, you know it's loud when you're standing 5 feet from a teammate and you have to use hand signals to communicate with them. But yeah, that was cool.
Every player ever came across and played, outside of Indiana, whether it's a pro or whatever, they always say the same thing. Assembly Hall is so hard to play at. And because of the fans, they're sitting on top of you, they're yelling at you, they're there before the game, they know your history, your background, and know your girlfriend's name. It's just all those different things is create really a crazy atmosphere that's hard to play in.
Man, we were lucky enough when I played there. Man, we didn't lose a game my first year inside Assembly Hall to you. We won the championship. We went undefeated there, and man, it was just rocking and rolling, man. That place was always fun to get pumped up in. It didn't take much.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to get back there, but it's going to be interesting to see football. Because they have never been able to fill that stadium unless Ohio State or Michigan was coming in. And that was usually because of them. But hopefully that changes next year. And it should be hopefully a festive atmosphere. Like I said, I definitely would love – that would be a great time to get some players in because you don't have to worry about the basketball stuff. You can just – relax and have fun. I mean, gee, we got to work on that, Verdell. I know you're busy with camps and all, but Dean, we got to work on that, man.
Let me know when's a good one, and I'm there. Let's do it.
This is a done deal. I guarantee you I'm going to make one text when we get done today, and that's going to be done, taken care of. We'll pick a game. And that's a done deal. Wow, that's going to be fun.
That'd be super exciting.
Fun. That's what happens when you guys get together. Fun stuff happens. Verdell, what would you ask Dean? Did you do some interviews?
Man, just I always like So for me, when I committed to IU, it was because how much basketball means to the state of Indiana. And as a hooper, that's something that you want to look for when you go to a place. You don't want to go somewhere where it's only 25% capacity. You want to go somewhere where it means that much. But also, I think sometimes that it can carry over, fans, their enthusiasm can sometimes have a negative impact as well. Now, obviously, you guys went undefeated one year. So my question is always, did you ever experience any of the kind of negativity that can come with, just being a Hoosier?
Never. I've never experienced that. Everything has always been very, very positive. Once again, we won a national championship, so it's kind of hard for anybody to come at us and be like, you guys didn't keep the tradition going. We never had that problem. And living here in Las Vegas and being in a casino, because I work in a casino. I mean, even just last week, I was walking by and the guy just stopped me and he's like, somebody told me you worked here. Are you Dean Garrett? And I'm like, yeah, and he was all Indiana down. He had everything on. And it was before Andy Miller got fired. And he was asking me my opinion on that and not really knowing that this was even something they were even thinking about. So he was asking me, what did I think about it? And I really didn't elaborate on that part because I didn't want to kill a guy who still had a job.
Right,
Now
right.
he doesn't have a job. I guess I could say what I want to say. But no, I've never had that problem, man. People have always been great to us, but I guess it's kind of synonymous that if you say Keith's name or my name, then one of our names is right behind it, just because the way we both came in and the way things happen.
Well,
And-
Joe Hillman talked about that. I'm sorry, Verdell. Go ahead.
No, and I asked that because I was trying to play devil's advocate because people from here always ask me that. They're like, man, IU fans seem pretty crazy, pretty hard. It's like, well, I've never really experienced too many negatives personally, but seeing it
You're
now,
on the right side of it.
I heard the Jay Bilas
Billis.
interview and kind of how he talked about the fans and stuff like that. And I don't think people understand truly how much IU basketball means to people in Indiana. We just can't accept mediocrity. So I was kind of playing devil's advocate. I wanted you to say what you said, just so for people to understand, and for recruits to hear that, man, if you're a Hoosier, you a Hoosier. We love you, but if you're not abiding by those Hoosier rules, we're gonna let you know too.
Billis is a Duke elitist. He also said within the last 3 weeks on air, Archie Miller's a great coach. I heard him say it. And I'm like, you ass kisser. Oh, God, just terrible. I'm like going, that's the worst thing. Are you kidding me? But, yeah, who cares? It's all fun going forward. But Joe Hillman talked about, we talked about the Indiana thing. He said, look at our 87 team. Joe's from California. You bring in Dean Garrett and Keith Smart. He said the only Indiana guy that really had an important role was Steve Alford. And that was it. He goes, the rest of them were not from Indiana. I mean, and I never thought about that. I knew the Dean and the Keith thing stand out because, man, they come in and, boy, changed the whole deal. But I never thought about that was a non-Indiana team because it didn't seem that way because they all become Indiana. And we all see that now.
They throw Ohio and they throw Illinois in there so easily in that region. They just keep it as a region. And, at that time, that's all we really did have was Indiana, Ohio, Illinois.
Bob Knight special.
Everybody else was from right there.
Yeah.
Except myself, Joe, Magnus was from Columbia.
Belkowski, yep.
Yeah, but myself, Joe, and Keith, and maybe Jadlow. He was from Kansas.
You and Keith, I believe, were – so Jadlow came in the same time as you?
No, I think he was already there when I got – but he redshirted when we won.
Okay, so he came in first, and he was the first JUCO, I think, that Bob Knight brought in then.
No,
and you all would have been
Andre Harris.
Oh, because he had never gone that route before.
Right, and Andre Harris came through, but then he didn't go to class, and he kind of messed it up for anybody else who might want to come behind him because he wasn't going to class at all.
Verdell, did you guys see the trip? The documentary? Did you guys see the documentary on BTN, The Trip, the 1985 trip?
I heard about it.
I didn't get to see the whole thing. I saw little highlights of it, but I didn't get to see the whole thing.
I feel sorry for Dean because he just missed being on that trip.
Right, I didn't make that.
But I think I remember Joe and them talking about that trip being a big part of the reason they were able to win, in addition to you all coming on. And they said that specifically, but said besides, these guys adding in this trip because they sucked. They were terrible, like in 85. Wasn't that coming off the season on the brink year? I mean, where they wrote the book, they were just god awful. So Bob Knight does what he has never, ever done and never did again. He took them on an international trip for like 40 days or something over to international, and it was crazy. And to show you another side of Bob Knight, and Todd Leary talks about this all the time on the trips, and you'll all know this, or Dean, you will. Always, when you go places, interesting points. Make sure they go to these interesting places. If it was Hawaii, it was Pearl Harbor. If wherever they are, they were in China, they went to the wall. And it was kind of funny because Delray Brooks said, I ain't going up that wall. And everybody else was going up there. And he ended up transferred, ironically. But he ended up going up on the wall. But it was cool to see them and how they talked about they got into a fight, I think, in Yugoslavia that really kind of galvanized them. And hell, they said, I don't know if we're getting out of here because they're over there in a foreign country and Knight's over there in their coach's face and they're out there on the floor. He said, I forget who it was that said, I threw an elbow. He says, I heard that thing pop like a shotgun. He hit this guy in the nose, but you got to watch that. It's worth watching. You will particularly love it, Dean, because your teammates are on there.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I heard about it, though. I heard Joe Hillman made a nice little comment about keep an eye on that.
But yeah, getting back to Jay Edwards, what's a great your favorite Jay Edwards story?
Man, well, I'm not going to put Jay out there like that. So
No, not under the bus. Just funny, not under the bus story.
I'll try to use a good one with Jay.
Yeah.
You know, Jay just had ice water in his veins, man. I mean, you would think as a freshman coming in, I remember we played Purdue at home, and Jay just unfazed by it. And he just had a phenomenal game shooting. And I remember Todd Mitchell, because Todd Mitchell and I are really good friends now. And we've talked about this game, obviously, because we beat him. I wouldn't talk about it if we lost. He'd be getting out of my house. But we talk about it now. And he was just telling me, man, how just trying to get in Jay's head, talking to him, trying to get in his face. And Jay was just like looking at him like, I really don't care who you are. I just knew who he was, but he's like, I really don't care. And Jay was just unfazed by anything coach said, anything another player said. You couldn't rattle him. You couldn't tell he was upset. He had the same slow moving jump shot, but slow to us, but it was quick to everybody else because they couldn't do anything with it.
Couldn't stop it. I'd love to have seen him play one more year. That brings up something, Verdell. I know what the IU Purdue rivalry means to the Bob Knight era guys, but something I found out last night, I think from John Laskowski, he said when Knight first came here, he didn't really get it either. He said until the first time they played. He said that's all it took. Mm-hmm. He said they played one time. And he said it was on from then on. And Dean, you probably don't know some of the crazy crap that went on way before you arrived, but Bob Knight used to have a coach's show. He tried to get something happened and it pissed him off about Purdue, and he tried to get the AD to come on. He wouldn't come on. So he had somebody bringing a jackass on his show and put a Purdue jersey on it as his guest. He would do – he hated Purdue. He turned it in to he really would gouge them. And him and Keedy would just go at it. They became friends later, which is awesome to see. And I miss that. I miss the Keedy Knight. There's no characters like that. I mean, Izzo, but he's got nobody to bounce off of.
Can I say this?
You can say anything you want.
I'm tired of losing to Purdue.
Oh. Boy, 9.
I'm tired of that. I'm tired of losing to Michigan too.
I hate Michigan.
Enough's enough.
What I was going to ask is, did the Purdue rivalry? I know it was a rivalry. How much was it to you guys during that era? Was it really a big thing?
I'm sure for Dean it was a huge one.
No, I'm talking about for you all, for doing your all's era.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Coach Green definitely hammered that into us, and our first game, especially when you go to Mackey, you feel it out the gate. Even though we weren't very good my freshman year, we knew that no one in that arena liked us. It was pretty clear, really. And for me, Lewis Jackson, who was a point guard for Purdue. We came in the same class. We grew up 40 minutes from each other. So we already had kind of a rivalry all through high school, middle school built up. And then he goes to Purdue, I go to Indiana. So for me, that game always meant a little extra for us anyway. So to add to Purdue and IU to it, for me, it continued. So I love playing those games, especially like I said, I like playing at Mackey. I like hearing the boos and the shouts and the people yelling at you. It just kind of created a different kind of mindset for me. Like, all right, let's go.
See, and that reminds me of the guys, Dean, and all those guys back. That's how they were. That has been lost. I don't know if it just happened in the last 4 years, but that's gone. That tough guy that I'm gonna beat your ass, whatever. And a great point Joe Hillman made last night. And man, oh man, I've forgotten about it, but I'm glad it pissed him off. And I guarantee it pissed a lot of IU players off. Last year or year before when Coach Miller or Coach Knight came back, Archie did not bring his team out of the locker room. The players they were not on the floor to see Coach Knight come back to Indiana for the first time. He didn't bring them out for them to see what that meant. And Joe Hillman talked about that's how disconnected he was.
I tell you, we didn't even meet those guys. We never even met them. I never even met Archie that day. And we were back there on the practice court, and we were there early enough. And I thought that, you know what, maybe he's going to bring these guys out to be like, come and see what you're paying for. Besides the people that's going to be in the stands, go look at these guys who, got this started for you. And because I know when I got there, I was meeting guys that I never even met before that played back in the 70s. And I met Rick Ford, and I thought that was the best thing ever. Him and I sat there and talked, and he told me he was teammates with Toby Wright. And those are guys that played before us. And I thought it was important that he might have flung his team over there. I know you're getting ready for a game, but it would have been a 5-minute situation. Come over there, meet these guys, say hello, and Archie yourself. You come over there and meet us and say hello. I mean, I don't want to go back in your locker room and get, be in your way, but I think you could have took the time to come over there and say something to us. And
so you thought of it that day. I mean, you noticed it that day.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We never saw those guys at all. It was never any interaction with that team. And we were there 2 hours before the game even started. So it's not like we were going to be interrupting anything that would have stopped their game plan. Just come over, come say hello to these guys. I mean, shit, you got Isaiah Thomas in there. I think everybody knows who that is. So that shouldn't have been that hard to come over there and just shake a hand and let us tell you, hey, good luck. Let's, do this, do that. We never saw them one time.
There was more history in that room than they will ever have the opportunity to be around in their life again. And it's a shame, a real shame, that they did not get that opportunity to be around, just to be in the same room with Bob Knight. I'm not here to be a lover of Bob Knight. He had his issues, no doubt. I'm not, but
absolutely.
It's a legacy, man. It's a legacy, and I think he took that away from him. I feel bad for him, to be honest with you.
Well, not as a legacy, it's tradition. That's a lot of tradition in our room. I guarantee you, if Mike and those guys are in North Carolina, Roy Williams is going to have his guys going by and saying hello to the alumni. That's just how it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure if Michael Jordan's in another room, you ain't going to have these guys come over there and say something. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Brother, I am going to be working on this IU football basketball thing. As soon as I get off here, Dean Garrett, I'm going to call it the Dean Garrett tailgating special or something.
Count me in. I'm there.
We're going to do it. I'm going to get you to help me, get some guys in. Riddell will help. We'll get guys to help. And I want to you ought to cross these seams, man. I know they're going to do other stuff, but that's another thing, is to see them get involved with the football. Cross everything over, bring the university together. But Dean, I can't thank you enough, as always, man. You are always so gracious. I love you to death. Appreciate you, and I cannot wait to get you back here now, man. You've always been great, and I'm glad that you guys got to meet.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Nice to meet you, Verdell, man. We're definitely football. We got to be there.
God to. Great meeting you. Love hearing your stories, and I can't wait to meet you in person, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
What casino are you at?
New York, New York.
Okay.
Somebody asked that earlier. I'm like, I forgot to put that up there. So, hey, if you're going to Vegas, New York, man, go find him.
I'm there.
You better tip him out, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Wear your candy stripes. Get you a photo. Sounds like a great Vegas trip, man. What do you got coming up this weekend, Dean?
Man, March Madness time, so it's packed.
Oh, my God, you're in freaking Vegas. Oh, gee whiz. How did I forget that? You missed that conversation, Riddell. That is one of the – how big is Las Vegas during the NCAA tournament in a normal year?
It's bigger than Super Bowl.
Wow.
Bigger than Super Bowl. And so now you throw in there right now because Vegas is opening up a lot more. Everybody's getting their shots. I've already got both of my shots already. So people are getting their shots. And, you know, hate to say it, but people are getting that stimulus check too. So everybody's coming.
44 red, baby. 44 red.
It's reality in Las Vegas. People got that stimulus check. They're coming in.
Are you dealing?
No, I'm a casino host, man. I bring people in.
Oh, man. See, he is the man. He's the
I
man.
bring
All
people
right.
in to spend that money. That's what I end up doing.
I'm about to get some people hooked up with you. Send them out your way.
Yeah, send them out my way, man. I'm there.
Dino, thank you so much, man. You are the greatest. I appreciate you.
I
You have a
appreciate
great
it,
day.
man. Anytime.
Thank you so much, Verdell. You are always great, man. Verdell's going to be a fireman, by the way, Dean. I didn't get to tell you that. This guy's nuts.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're good. Congratulations. Then.
I appreciate it.
I didn't. If I had, we too late. But he was going to run for mayor. They knew that he'd kick their ass, so they found a technicality to kick him off the ballot this time. But next time they're screwed because he'll get on the ballot. But so in the meantime, he was like, "Oh, why don't I just go become a fireman and serve my city that way?" And recruit my brother and one of my college teammates, my basketball team. So he recruited people on top of it. He's just a nut.
Well, Jim, give Verdell my number, man. Verdell, anytime you come out to Las Vegas, let me know.
Man, most definitely, I will for sure.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you
that.
definitely got to, man. Let me know.
All right, cool.
Guys, thank y'all so much. You're both the best. I appreciate y'all, man. Go out and have a great weekend.
All right, man.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good
much,
one.
Fidel. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
And everybody else, you all go out and have a great weekend. Wear your mask. Do something nice for somebody. And until Monday, I guess, I will see you on the radio.